Well, good evening, everybody. I say good evening because I'm recording this about 8 o'clock at night here, Michigan time. So I'm trying to be more active on the channel. I hope it's not too much. I hope people aren't annoyed by the amount of content that I'm putting out real quick here because, with me, it could be a while between videos. It has been before. This one's exciting to me. I've sort of been stewing on it for a couple of weeks. Um, I'm going to go through my Record Store Day 2025 purchases. Now, not every purchase was made on Record Store Day, and I'll talk about them real briefly. Uh, some of these are archival releases, some of them are reissues. So some of them are new releases, sort of, kind of. So we'll talk about them as we go on. I guess, let's just jump right into it. It's taken about a month since Record Store Day 2025 for me to actually get through everything that I purchased and be able to give it a proper listen. I think that's part of it too, is I didn't want any of this stuff to just be background noise. I wanted to listen intentionally. And that may be the subject of a whole nother video, but you know what? And maybe it's social media's fault, maybe it's just technology, whatever. My attention span is not what it used to be. So to make the time, first of all, I've been really busy with house stuff and uh, exercising and outdoor work and all that stuff. To make the time to sit and intentionally listen to all of these, at least once all the way through before I talk about them or make any judgment. It's taken me several weeks at this point. So I'm going to go alphabetically, mostly, and I'll get to that at the end and you'll see what I mean. So, Black Sabbath, The Eternal Idol, the first album to feature Tony Martin on vocals. I've always liked this album. I've had the CD for, gosh, 24 years, I believe. And I bought the 1996 Castle remaster, and they did a fantastic job on all the Sabbath reissues from the debut up through this one. This was the last major label release. It was originally on Warner Brothers Records. This was, I'm not going to sit and go through every detail of every album, but this was released in 1987 originally. Again, first with Tony Martin. This was a huge transitional record for the band because for the second album in a row, Tony Iommi was the sole founding member. The previous one, which I've talked about my absolute disdain for, was supposed to be an Iommi solo record. It was Black Sabbath featuring Tony Iommi. So this is technically the first Black Sabbath record just called Black Sabbath since 1983's Born Again. This had a rotating cast of characters. It was originally recorded with Ray Gillen on vocals, who did the Seventh Star Tour after Glenn Hughes basically drugged and drank and ate himself out of the tour. So, a very strong album. The reissue of this sounds fantastic. Um, it came out on like a crimson reddish vinyl that I hate to touch. So there you go, you can kind of see it. So the reason I'm not really sort of reaching all the way to grab that, and this has nothing to do with vinyl records, I get such terribly dry skin at this time of year. My hands break out real bad, so I have some CeraVe lotion on there. All right, next. I never really know whether to put this under E or J, but I picked up Elton John's Live at the Rainbow Theatre, London Rainbow, not the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Los Angeles. And it features the great percussionist Ray Cooper on several tracks. Otherwise, this is an Elton solo record. This was recorded in 1977. I'm not a big fan of Elton's post Captain Fantastic work. Thankfully, there are a lot of older songs, and even the ones that were a bit newer at the time. It's a stripped down rendition. Elton's voice was in fantastic shape. The few tracks that Ray Cooper added percussion to are amazing. So this has been available in digital formats or bootlegs, etc., over the years. Got a proper Record Store Day release. Black Sabbath that I purchased. My two locals, did not get, did not, well, one of them got one copy of that and the other got none. So I stood no chance of getting it. I had to go online. Should have waited because I went online like the next day and I paid $10 to $15 too much. And then by the day after, a bunch of places had it at listing cost. So anyway, Black Sabbath Eternal Idol, not actually purchased on Record Store Day, but an RSD exclusive release. Same with this. I went back to Off the Record in Grand Haven. They had one copy of this left. I'd heard great things. I sort of wished I'd bought it. I did, and I'm extremely glad. So, Greatest Discovery, Border Song, Cage the Songbird, Where To Now, St. Peter, Ticking, Better Off Dead with Ray Cooper, Sweet Painted Lady, Tonight with Ray Cooper, Idol with Ray Cooper, I Feel Like a Bullet in the Gun of Robert Ford with Ray Cooper, Roy Rogers, and Dan Dare, Pilot of the Future. So, highly suggest this if you can get your hands on it. The sound on it's great, the performance is great. This one, I didn't know I needed it till I saw it on the shelves. This one I actually did pick up on Record Store Day. Emmylou Harris Spy Boy. Now I was thinking to myself, why is this called Spy Boy? It's because the band that she had, which was put together by the great guitar player and musician in his own right, Buddy Miller. This is from Emmylou's Wrecking Ball tour. A couple of these are the musicians who played on it. I love Wrecking Ball. It was produced by Daniel Lanois. This sort of covers her entire career. Up to this point, it's a 2-record live set from that tour. Buddy recorded every show, and thank goodness he did. This is a tour de force of a live album. Emmylou sounded fantastic on here. The band was able to recreate, for the most part, the sound and the feel of the Wrecking Ball album, which was very atmospheric, and they laid down fantastic versions of all the songs that came before it. So really, the name of the band was Spy Boy, and that's why we got that. Picture on the back, track listing. Really cool version on here of The Maker, which was written by Daniel Lanois, and that Willie Nelson would end up recording on the Teatro record with Daniel Lanois producing and Emmylou singing harmony vocals. So, killer album here. And forgive me for being a little chauvinistic here. Emmylou looked as gorgeous as ever, didn't she? She, to this day, she's in her 70s, she's still one of the most beautiful women on the planet. I say that after talking about how talented she is, obviously, because she's a fantastic musician, singer, songwriter, interpreter of other songs. But she'll always be one of the prettiest women on the planet. So I hope I don't come off as sexist or chauvinistic there. Here's one that I bought, I believe, the same day as the Elton John one. I went back. There were several copies of this left off the record. This is my one Record Store Day 2025 regret. I believe it's Tales of the Old or Tales of the Ancient Rum Runners. I can't remember. Robert Hunter, who was one of the main lyricists and co-writers of songs with Jerry Garcia for the Grateful Dead. I love that Rum Runners record. I hadn't heard this, but based on the strength of the Dead albums at the time and the Rum Runners solo record, I grabbed it. This album, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say it's terrible, but it's not strong enough for me to have really bought it or wanted it if I'd have heard it ahead of time. I should have sought this one out. I actually sought the Elton record out. I played a couple of songs and I'm like, yes, need it. So Robert Hunter, Tiger Rose Rarities. This is really more for completists and diehards, of which I'm not. I really like the Grateful Dead, but I don't love them. Sorry. Please don't put hateful comments down there. We've all got our own tastes. I have 7 or 8 of their albums. I've got that Jerry Garcia Electric on the Eel Record Store Day Black Friday 2024 release. Love it. So I respect and appreciate the Dead, and many of the members are on here. Just not for me. If you see this, just be forewarned, Rum Runners, this is not. So that's kind of, again, one of the only ones or the only one that I have any bit of regret about. Jazz Dispensary has been putting out fantastic reissues. They're finding old recordings, some newer, that run the gamut of jazz from uh, the '60s onward. This is uh, all really great late night jazz. My friend, former teacher, and I would argue musicologist in his own amateur way, C.E. Sickinga. Um, I said that this would be great with a cigar and bourbon, and he said, "I'll one up that basically and say that this is the perfect nightcap record." And damn it, if he wasn't right, as I hate to admit, he is so many times. Um, But this is called Night Lights. If Saturday night is the loneliest night of the week, Moodsville is your destination. Escape the noise of the city and take in Night Lights, a new compilation from Jazz Dispensary collecting mellow, forlorn, and hauntingly beautiful tunes from Yusef Lateef, Coleman Hawkins, Kenny Burrell, Gene Ammons, and more. So, uh, if you happen to run across this and you're a jazz fan, snag it. Love this album, and I was gonna maybe play it while sipping bourbon or whatever. I waited until the very end of one night after I'd had my bourbon and cigar, was having a nightcap, put this on. I've listened to it several times since. This is the perfect late night record. Jazz Dispensary, Night Lights. All right. This one. So I'll talk about Record Store Day real briefly and my experiences at the end of this, and I hope you stick around for the whole video to listen because I would love to hear your stories. I grabbed this one, Mingus at Monterey, and this is a reissue up at Third Coast Vinyl in Muskegon after I had been to uh, Off the Record in Grand Haven. Um, absolutely love the first record here, which is all a Duke Ellington tribute. Really like side three um, of on LP2. Side four, it's a bit of a cacophony, but overall, I'm incredibly glad I snagged this. I've become a Charles Mingus fan in the last few years, so if you're a fan of his, I don't know if this is the Mingus is probably the best starting point, but if you have a few of his albums and you like what you hear, well worth snagging if you can find it. Great live album from '64. And then the other Mingus album, I grabbed it off the record. Yeah, that one was from Third Coast. This is from off the record. Um, Again, I didn't even know I was after this until I saw it. Charles Mingus Reincarnations. So uh, a different set from different versions of songs from a previous album. Record Store Day has been putting out uh, some Mingus reissues, and they've all been good. And I'm really glad I snagged this again. And you can see, for those who aren't familiar, uh, he was a band leader and writer, but he was a stand-up bass player. And so, Mingus Reincarnations, again, I don't know if I would call this, absolutely necessary, but if you're a jazz fan from the bebop, hard bop, post bop time frame from the 50s and 60s, definitely pick this one up if you see it. Then one of my favorites. This was released on CD many years ago. There's been an LP issue of it. It's been available digitally. This guy I've talked about a bit, but not much because I don't talk about a lot of jazz on here because I sing in my church choir, but I'm not a instrumental musician. I can't tell you why I like things and why I don't from a technical standpoint. All I know is Thelonious Monk was always so unique and so different that I literally buy anything of his that I can get. So to have the reissue from 1964, Thelonious Monk with Charlie Rouse uh, playing tenor on here, the band was on fire. These versions are, if not definitive, at least really darn good. Highly suggest this if you can get your hands on it. Monk was one of the most idiosyncratic pianists, and probably other than Duke Ellington, he's my favorite jazz piano player. And so, highly recommend this one. 2 album set. The sound, they really, I'm sure they cleaned it up because it was recorded in a club, in 1964. It could have gone haywire, but instead the recording is masterful on this. So, extremely glad I grabbed Monk live at the It Club. And then, on my sojourn up to Third Coast, this one was up there, and I had kind of forgotten that it was going to be released. Um, Mulligan Meets Monk. This is a reissue. I've seen the CD before. I've seen sort of cheap copies of this that I would not grab. This is on Riverside Records originally. This is a delightful reissue. The sound is great on this. The playing is great on this. Round Midnight, Rhythming, Sweet and Lovely, Decidedly Straight No Chaser, and I Mean You. So, yeah, this has Jerry Mulligan on baritone, Monk on piano, Wilbur Ware on bass, Shadow Wilson on drums, recorded August 12th and 13th, 1957. So this was really as Monk was starting to gain a bit of commercial ground. Not that jazz guys ever sold a ton, but he was getting to be a bit more well known. Great collaborative effort. Again, I recommend this one. Here's another one that one of my locals got one copy of, the other got none. And I've had to chase a bunch of these down. I ended up finding it for a great price online. Volume 6 of the Motorhead uh, Lost Tapes collection. Now, the previous video that I posted up here was ranking the Lost Tapes, including this one. I'm not going to go into it, but I was not able to get it that day. I like it. If you didn't watch that video, they all say high fidelity live recording, which has to be a tongue-in-cheek phrase because they're soundboard recordings. They're cleaned up, glorified bootlegs. That's okay. The sound on this is good, not great. Motorhead played at 120 decibels, so it was hard to properly record them in a live setting. Um, yeah, this is recorded in Berlin in December of '92. So if you're a Motorhead fan, track this down. These usually don't sell out. I see them here and there at indie record stores, throughout the coming months and year. So this one I'm glad I got. It's not my favorite in the series. It's not my least favorite. I'm glad I have it because I turned into a ridiculous completist with Motorhead. Okay, the only non-record store day release, and it's a used record. Um, I had a compilation that had the title track on here, but I looked through the used bin at Third Coast, and I came across an original Good, the Bad, and the Ugly soundtrack. Morricone. I'm sorry if I'm slaughtering his name. The spaghetti westerns, they were fun. They weren't amazing, but the soundtracks were killer. So I have a couple of his other albums compilations. I have the Fistful of Dollars record. When I saw this, and I think it was, what was it? $13. I could not say no for that. So, and that's part of the thing too about Record Store Day is if there are no releases that you're after that day, still go out and partake in the festivities. It can be a lot of fun. Um, you know, we'll talk again, like I say, at the end of the video, just for a moment or two about my thoughts on Record Store Day overall and my experiences this past year. Uh, okay, so we're at the end. These are the ones that more than anything, I thought, if I don't get these, I'm going to stroke out. I'm going to have a heart attack. This one was not as essential, but I really, really, really wanted it. And the reason this is at the end, Hindu Love Gods. This is Warren Zevon and REM minus Michael Stipe. This was recorded over a couple of evenings while they were partying. He had used REM as his core backing band on the Sentimental Hygiene record. This was just letting the tape roll on. They had a minor hit with Prince's Raspberry Beret on here, a very I don't want to say satirical take because they did a good job. It was just way different. As it is after 8 o'clock at night, I'm a bit parched and I'm sipping on water. So anyway, this one is fun. I have an original vinyl pressing of it. I have a CD of it. Again, being a Zevon collector, trying to have all of his albums, and then it's ridiculous. I buy multiple pressings, but I'm sure some, if not many of you out there, suffer from the same affliction I do. So this one was cool to get. Yeah, you can see the group on the back, the promotional photos. So it's fun. It's a lot of old blues covers. Manish Boy, Wang Dang Doodle. Uh, Although there's a George Jones song on here called "I'm a One Woman Man." Robert Johnson's "Travelin' Riverside Blues" and "Walkin' Blues." Albert King's "Crosscut Saw," the old New Orleans standard, Junko Partner. So it's fun. This is not essential Zevon or REM, but if you find it, pick it up. It's this was hard to get for a long time, so hopefully those of you who haven't been able to get a copy and want it can find one a lot easier now. I realize we're running on, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about each of these albums. This is the one that back in, what was it, February-ish, when Record Store Day released its list of what was going to be available. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee for later this year in 2025, Warren Zevon, piano fighter. Um, this is the Giant Records years. This is after he was let go by yet another major label. This was his first indie label foray. He did 3 records: Mr. Bad Example, which is a studio record, Learning to Flinch, which is comprised of solo versions. He went out playing guitar and piano and no band, and Splendid, Learning to Flinch. I was going to say Splendid Isolation. That's on here. Uh, Learning to Flinch is the live record, the live document taken from shows from that tour. And then one that was never released on vinyl, I don't believe. Mr. Bad Example was overseas. Um, Mutineer is finally available on vinyl. It took years for me to get the CD. Music on Vinyl put out Music on CD, and they put just a beautifully packaged reissue a few years ago, and I was able to snag that. But this is the one, you can see the album covers on here. Um, Mutineer is kind of a dark horse album in the Zevon catalog because it was not. It's funny that the title track he wrote for the fans, and almost nobody bought the album at the time. It received lousy promotion. Giant Records actually dropped him while he was in the middle of touring to promote that. So I don't use a lot of profanity on here, but Giant Records, you blew it. And so hopefully there's more interest, in Zevon now than there was then. I believe there is. I was able to snag this. If none of the rest of those had been available, I would have been disappointed that I didn't get some of them. But this is the one that really made Record Store Day 2025 worthwhile for me. Okay, real quick. I hadn't participated fully in Record Store Day in quite a few years. I think since before the pandemic. And I decided to go ahead and get in line down at Off the Record in Grand Haven. They opened up at 8 o'clock. Benji, the owner, had carvers from Grand Rapids come in. They did these delicious chorizo breakfast tacos. There was, um, trying to remember, there wasn't free coffee, but there was a good deal on coffee in the behind the bookcase, which is the coffee shop in the rear of the building. It was so much fun. The crowd there was great. I played some pinball, ate good food, drank good coffee, got tremendous records. And the highlight of it was uh, this lady came up to me. I would almost say girl just because she's my age. But this lady came up to me and said, "Is your name Brett?" And I said, "Yeah." Um, I didn't recognize her. I hadn't seen her. Her name was Leslie. and we had gone to school together, elementary school through second grade, and then um, she and her family lived in the same trailer park that I did at the time. But I had we had just moved in as they were moving out. Her parents, I guess, split, and they went and lived in another town. Dad stayed there. We got to talking, and it was a wonderful conversation. And we obviously knew a lot of people in common over the years. And when she told me that, yeah, her dad stayed there, I something clicked in my head because these are watershed moments, right? Big events in your life that change your life. I bought my first three vinyl records at her dad's yard sale. Uh, it was AC/DC Back in Black, Ted Nugent Scream Dream, and the two record set Elvis in Concert, which was released posthumously. Um, and I still have all those records, and I played them to death, and I wish I would have taken better care of them. They're still playable. There are no skips. I didn't put no egregious damage to it, but I should have taken better care. The point is, this was one of those. I had the best day, the best morning on Record Store Day that I have had easily in well over a year. Maybe, probably, definitely more. um, my heart was so full getting to talk to somebody and let her know. And then she said, "Well, my dad's always with me." And I said, "I'm sorry to hear that he had passed away last year." And we were commiserating about that because, I lost my dad the year before. Um, she said, "But he's always with me." I said, "You have a little vial of his ashes, don't you?" And she had a little vial on her keychain that she brought everywhere and some of her grandfather's ashes. And it was such a special moment. And I haven't seen her since. And, maybe it'll be another 35 years before I do. I hope not. Because, and then a bunch of us ended up talking, like saying, playing pinball and eating food. And then I came home real quick, dropped the other stuff off. I live sort of almost an equal distance between two fantastic record stores. That one's in Grand Haven. I went downtown Muskegon. Paul, who owns Third Coast Vinyl, had complimentary coffee. And I forget the name of the donut place. I wish I could remember. Um, so there were coffee and delicious donuts there. And that's where I picked up a few albums. And by the time I got there, really the hubbub had died down. There were a handful of people in the store. I guess it was quite busy in the morning. Again, some people, some collectors have sworn off Record Store Day just because of the hype about it. There is some price gouging. I'm not going to say there isn't. Um, there have been albums that I've wanted, but not enough to spend the money on. But again, with the exception of the Robert Hunter, which I should have done my research on because I didn't buy it that day. I had the opportunity to not buy it, and I still did. Um, it's just such a great community experience when done right. And the indie brick and mortar stores don't have to. They don't have to have freebies. They don't have to have food and beverages and whatever. A sense of community with people is enough. And so, supporting your brick and mortar stores, I will forever be a proponent of independent record stores. They are the center of a musical community, and I'm so fortunate to live just 15 minutes from either one. And there are more in Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo and Lansing and further north up in Traverse City. And so um, Michigan has some killer record stores, especially on the west side of the state. And so, anyway, the video's gone on quite long. I did not plan for it to take this long. I apologize. But please let me know what you think of these, if you picked any up, what your Record Store Day haul was, what your views on Record Store Day are. You're free to disagree with me. You can hate the thing. But just, I'm not going to put you down for it. Please don't put me down for still enjoying it, still liking it. I did kind of get burned out on it. And I think that's part of why I didn't participate fully for a long time. I would go later in the day. Getting out there early in line, it was butt cold, but it was a lot of fun. There was a great sense of community, and that really promoting vinyl records and promoting independent stores with a sense of community with music fans makes the whole day worthwhile. So, anyway, thank you for your kind attention. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. I look forward to hearing from you and discussing things with you. Take care, everybody.